All right, people. This whole Charlottesville thing has been happening over the past week or two, and I want to talk a little bit about it. We got violence happening. Somebody got hit by a car and unfortunately died. But then the media goes and talks about how Trump is a sympathizer with Nazis and white supremacists and KKK people, which is totally untrue because he came out and he condoned those kind of people. He condoned the violence and the bigotry. I don't know how more clear he could be. I mean, the media will just find some way to attack him. Doesn't matter on what. They'll find something to attack him on. I mean, you just keep feeding you just keep feeding the beast with the media. They'll find something to call him out on and call him a. Again, it's just all these terms that people throw out nowadays, like racist and sexist and homophobe. It's like it's really insulting the Trump voter too, because they're basically saying that every Trump voter, therefore millions upon millions of people and supporters of Donald Trump, voted for a racist, which makes them if you vote for a racist, you're a racist yourself. So you're basically calling about what 25% of the country voted for Trump. You're basically calling them racist. I mean, it's in the people who support Trump too. You're basically calling them racist. I mean, and what the approval rating of Trump's at like what 35-40% now or something like. So you're basically calling 35% of Americans racist, which isn't true. I mean, the media just throws that term out there. Like every day you hear that word, probably racist, racist, racist. Everybody's a racist. Every conservative's a racist. You hear that all the time. You know, it's like they'll find a position. Every position they have a word if you oppose their position. Racist, sexist, xenophobe, homophobe, all these phobias, Islamophobe, Islamophobia. So I mean, they'll find, like here's an example. You want to get rid of Obamacare, you want people to die. You want to get rid of food stamps, you hate poor people. You want to have a secure border, well, you're not being kind enough to illegal aliens. I mean, just every position you disagree with them on, it's because you hate people, or you hate poor people, or you hate Muslims, or you hate gays, or you hate transgenders. It's quite ridiculous. They go to the extremes, and they really expose themselves as losers, as liars, as pathetic idiots when they do that shit. So people like Don Lemon saying that Trump's trying to start a civil war, he's just a complete idiot. He's a dumb fuck. I mean, how dumb can you be to say something like that? And again, to call somebody a racist like that, that's a major accusation with no evidence whatsoever to back it up. But where's the evidence? Name one thing he's done that's racist. One thing he's done or said during this presidency that's racist. Has he passed a bill that's racist? Has he advocated for any of black rights to be taken away? No, he hasn't. So the media calling him racist just exposes the media even more as the shills and the idiots that they are. So the whole rally, let's move on to the rally. The rally was, I don't support white supremacy. I don't support Nazis or KKKs. Just for the record, guys, you got to condemn that shit. You got to condemn it. The media makes a big deal about condemning white supremacy, which would be considered, violence on the right. But when violence on the left happens, Antifa, Black Lives Matter, they don't go to politicians and say, hey, how about you condemn this shit? No, they don't care about that shit. They don't care about condemning violent leftists, but they make a huge deal about violent right people on the right who are violent. Again, a total double standard there. So the rally was, a lot of people were didn't want the statue to be taken down of Robert E. Lee. And I understand that viewpoint. It's part of our history. It's not, condoning slavery by doing that. It's just saying, hey, he's part of our history. Who else owned slaves? Many of the founding fathers owned slaves. So it's just really part of the history saying, hey, we want to keep this statue up. We don't want to tear it down. It's just, he was a general of the South. We're in the South, so that's why we have it up. Um, and just because you supported slavery or had a slave, I don't think that means by default you're a terrible person, or you lived in the South or fought for the Confederacy. It doesn't mean you're a terrible person. I don't believe. Like I said, many of the founding fathers had slaves. That was kind of the norm back then, and you just went along with it. And so obviously it's a terrible thing in human history, but to say that every but if we go by that standard, then we should really take down our the statues of the founding fathers and destroy the Constitution and just condemn everything that happened back then. And also too, I want to talk about how white supremacy, they talk about it like it's the worst thing ever. But then on the other side of the aisle, you have Black Lives Matter. What's the difference between Black Lives Matter and white supremacy? It's basically the same thing. It's race baiting bullshit. And a lot of the white supremacists, I think, is a response to the media and many people in prominent positions like politicians putting down the white person. When you say that we have a huge problem in our country with racism against black people, that's as worse as it was in the 1960s. That is a direct insult to white people, calling us racist. I mean, it's really stupid how much people say that racism is so rampant in our country today. And when you say that, you're saying that it's coming from the white man or the white person. It's an insult, because there are very few people who are racist in our country today. I think we are in one of the best times in our country in the fact that we're living in one of the most libertarian, free societies that the world has ever seen. We don't care if you're a fucking gay person or a trans person. We don't care about your skin color. We judge people by the content of their character, and I think that's true of not 99% of people in the world today. But the media finds some way to turn our free and loving society made up of many, many great people, irrespective of political belief, into many people are racist, and many conservatives are racist because of their political beliefs. Like if you believe that that marriage should not be in government control, and the government does not have a right to say, hey, gay marriage is legal for everybody, because it shouldn't be a government right. Government has no place in marriage, especially the federal government. Then you're a homophobe. It just makes no sense at all. And you also got things like affirmative action out there. So I see where the white supremacists are coming from, in the sense that they're saying, hey, you got a lot of black propaganda, black racist propaganda out there. And we're just really saying, hey, the white person isn't really that bad. We've done a lot of good things. We're not bad people. But I don't think it should be called white supremacy. I mean, I don't think we have to create a whole movement in counter to it, which is really equivalent to what they're doing, race baiting. So there's my thoughts on that, people. It's not Trump's fault. Trump doesn't condone racism of any sort, and he's made that clear. I mean, if like, what? How is he racist? That's my question. How is he racist? I mean, why did he pick Ben Carson for the HUD position then? If he's such this big racist person, and they say he hates women. Oh, he hates women. Well, he has Kellyanne Conway as his campaign advisor, as his counselor at the White House. So why? How is he? How is he sexist? He's put many women in prominent positions in his company. Oh, he's sexist because he made a few comments about women in private, or he was on Howard Stern and he said a couple things in a joking fashion. It's like you can't even joke around. You can't even have an offensive joke. If you joke about a woman and say, hey, she sucks at driving, women suck at driving, just joking around, or hey, how about it's good that they don't let women drive in Saudi Arabia. Just joking around, you're deemed as sexist. Any joke based on race, on sex, on nationality is you're called offensive. Comedians are allowed to make those jokes, but if you make them as like just a normal businessman or a normal person, oh my god. So there's my thoughts on that. We're just really living in a world where everything's offensive, everything's racist, and then people go on their social media accounts and they say how they've been discriminated against, and they wear it like it's a badge of honor. Like, oh, feel bad for me. Feel bad for me. So people really need to fucking grow up. They need to get tough, and they need to stop feeling sorry for themselves. And people are just looking for a way to get offended. They're looking for something to say, hey, I was offended by that person. Everybody pay attention to me now. I've been offended. Oh, give me a hug. Give me a kiss. Give me a like on Facebook. I'm a black woman, and that person in the store was looking at me. That means he was racist because he was looking at me like I'm not supposed to be here. I mean, I hear that all the time, like black people accuse people of looking at them. Like, no, that's just how people do. That's what people fucking do. They fucking look at people. I look at people all the time. You just look at them. You observe. That's what humans are. They're curious creatures. They observe people. But some black people get the thought in their head that all these people are racist against them, and just because somebody stared at them for a second, that's racism. That they were persecuted against. How dare you fucking make that accusation when you have legitimate racism going on in the 1960s and say it's as bad as it is in the 1960s, and that race relations are at like an all-time low? How dare you fucking make that accusation? That's just what people do. They look at people look at me, but I don't think it's racist. That's just how people are. They stare. They might have saw something that caught their attention. They might have thought. Actually, a lot of people do look at me because I'm good looking, right? Yeah. I mean, shouldn't that be a compliment if people look at you? Maybe they're into you, huh? Maybe they think they're good looking, huh? So, just all the ways and that people accuse people of racism is just ridiculous. That word is getting too old for me. I hear it every fucking minute of the day. And in 99% of the cases where I hear racism, it's not racism. So there you go, people.